Today is August 30th and here's our Buoy 10 update. Today the weather was absolutely perfect. It was beautiful out there today. Great day to be on the water. The bite seemed like it might have been a little bit slower today, but I think honestly what was going on is that these fish were just really grouped up. So if you weren't on top of the fish, it was a little bit difficult to get a bite, honestly. And so yesterday was a lot more sustained. Like you could just make a long troll and you'd stay on top of the fish, no big deal. But today it seemed like you needed to run a little bit shorter laps on those fish to keep a decent bite going. All in all, we ended up harvesting 4 fish, let a bunch go. We had way more wild fish today than we did yesterday. We had a couple of snook, or excuse me, 1 snook. So that's good to see at least a little bit of snook. Usually in these smaller tides right now, we should be seeing a lot more chinook. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow should bring in a bunch of fish, mostly chinook, but hopefully there's still a lot more coho to come in too. As far as location, I fished Hammond, I fished Checkerboard, I fished Buoy 20, Buoy 14, I fished near Marker 1, I fished up near the church hole, Red Roof, all the way on up to the bridge up near Shipwreck. So we got a nice little tour of the Buoy 10 fishery today. Again, these fish move very quickly. There was a lot of red tide today, so it was a lot of weaving in and out of that, trying to find some good clean water. You know, the red tide really doesn't affect these fish too much because it's usually just on the surface. They just go down below it, but they still don't like being in it. And for me, I think I just don't like the way that my gear looks underneath that red tide. I like to have a little bit more light penetration going down to where I'm trying to target these fish so that my flashers blink a little bit more. So that's pretty much the long and the short of it. Still a bunch of coho around. Should be some more chinook showing up. I've been getting a lot of questions about this weekend and maybe Tong Point fishing. Usually you need to hit that bottom of the tide, the smallest tides, and then as like the first day where it hits the bottom and then starts to grow, that's when Tong Point sometimes will go, and that looks to be after the closure. Doesn't mean that I won't fish on Saturday, Sunday. We'll see. I'll let you know when those updates are posted. But aside from that, actually I keep on forgetting to show you guys. I found a couple of cool things, and frankly we're all gearheads. We all love tackle, we love tools, we love little gadgets and whatnot. And I did a little breakdown on the boat the other day and I left out a couple things, so I wanted to show that real quick here before we wrap this up. First one is something that I found over at Fred Meyer, of all places, over at a grocery store, and it's just these little twist ties. So on my fish fighter rod rack here that goes and extends out, I have this little twist tie, and what I do is I put the rod up against it here, and then we just twist tie this up, wraps around the rod, and it holds the rod in place. Now I know that doesn't sound very cool, but when the wind's blowing and waves are jumping around everywhere, the rods will bounce around and they'll end up getting knocked off of leaning up against the side of the boat. And that little piece right there, that little tiny little Twisty Tie Guy, $1.99 at Fred Meyer. Awesome, love that little thing. My buddy Brandon actually had that idea, and we were able to track it down on an end cap there at the store, threw them on, and it's probably one of my favorite little tools on the boat now. Next would be, I get asked all the time because I post pictures of it, my little tackle bag. So this guy, let's see if I can bring it over here. Okay, there we go. So my little tackle bags here, I had, this is actually an idea from a company called Wilderness Pack Specialties. They're based out of Hillsboro, and they actually brought one to me right before Sportsman Show last year. We had a couple of these at my booth. But these things are awesome for holding all my gear. So I'll show you how I got this thing set up. This is my 360 spinner bag, and I just got it labeled, but it just opens up. And I got the medium Dave Eng leaderboards in there. Has everything all lined up, all my different sizes. These are the Hildebrandt size 4s, the brand new ones. And then on this side, I have all of the Hildebrandt size 3s. So it makes organization really simple, because all I got to do when I'm ready to change colors, I just open it up. Okay, which one are we going to pick? Let's grab that size 4 right there. Let's go with chartreuse dot. Super, super sweet. Go through all the colors, quick and easy. Has the leaders on them, so that way I don't need to tie up new leaders. Real quick changes if we need to. The last one is some tools. Now, Gerber came out with a bunch of pliers and fillet knives and the line driver and a lanyard called the Defender, all sorts of cool stuff. But my favorite tool so far has actually been their scissors called the Neat Freak. And here's why. I'll show you. See if I can get this set up here. There we go. Keep some light on it. I don't know if you can see it. Well, that sun glare is pretty wicked. Okay, so cutting braided line is really difficult. You usually need to have it under tension, under a lot of tension. I'm gonna leave it limp right there. Take the scissors and watch this. Look, the wind's blowing it around. Cut. Come on, wind. Cut. No pressure on it whatsoever. These little buggers are awesome. Cut. That's simple. Pretty freaking sweet. Okay, so those are the tools that I wanted to talk about because I forgot about it when I did the update and the boat breakdown a little while ago. So find those little twisty ties. Those things are sweet. I promise you'll really like them. So tomorrow, I'm kind of debating. I don't know if I'm gonna start like super early, 6 o'clock in the morning, or if we're just gonna wait until later because the bite has been on the incoming tide for coho, and it's a late incoming tide tomorrow. High slack will be right around daylight. It'll probably honestly be going out. So it's a tough call, but the tides are getting smaller, so we should be able to stay on them a little bit better. You're gonna be able to fish a little bit more water because you don't have that ripping current on the Oregon and Washington side, so you can open up the areas where you want to target them. So we'll see what tomorrow brings, and I will be sure to let you know how I did. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you once again tomorrow. The number of days is winding down. All right, we'll see you later. Bye.